Dad was deputy commander of 8th Army and was called back by Secretary McNamara to take over DLA. There was a lot of heartache in making DLA or DSA because it wasn't a popular task.
They'll give you a bunch of tickets, and then you had to assemble them according to what section that you had to select from.
We had box cars of soap, textiles, tent poles, tents, just about anything that a military person could use.
When I first started in the factory, it was 1,200 people. The main issue was getting the work out.
We were working 6-day weeks. We increased all our outstanding procurements by 25% to get the material flowing.
The Defense Supply Agency was almost a sleepy backwater little agency compared to what it is today. We had half a dozen distribution depots, some consumable items, not all, some contract management, not all.
The energy crisis in the 70s was certainly a defining moment. I know at one point on the east coast of the United States, we were down to about 5 days of supply of jet fuel for the Navy.
Putting together a solicitation was walking to a bin and pulling off paper after paper after paper to put it together and hand scribe and fill out a solicitation.
There was no automated system, but with SAMS it all became uniform. DLA employees really put that system together, and it was very innovative.
They changed the name from the Defense Supply Agency to the Defense Logistics Agency because so much more was happening in DLA then.
There was an executive order from the president that made us the president's printer.
We came up with this bag type approach. We had to go through many testing, product demos.
The advent of the personal computer and its arrival at our doorstep in Philadelphia, no one then really knew what we were going to do with them.
After the fall of the Berlin Wall, we no longer had the need to stockpile those massive piles of materials.
A little clothing factory right there on post. We were producing 100 sets of camouflage uniforms a day while we were working to bring the contractors online.
The agency created the contingency support teams to send overseas. The reservists became more high visibility.
Took advantage of the commercial system through the prime vendor program to then move away from warehousing of common commercial items and issuing them and let the vendors do the distribution.
We were one of the first sites in the world to have a searchable inventory on the internet.
We had conventional presses, huge collating trains and towers.
We had local sales, and it was where folks would raise their placard and the property would go to the highest bidder.
It was taking care of organizations, making massive changes to the organization, to the processes, to the structure.
DLA began to consolidate the human resources departments. We were going to have one agency, all for human resources, headquartered at Columbus, Ohio.
On 9/11, we had folks come in that evening to help with FEMA and also to provide things for rescue and recovery.
DLA leaned forward and put approximately $50 million worth of Class 4 items into the pipeline in anticipation of customer requirements.
For the initial part of Afghanistan, everything primarily flowed through Pakistan. With the political instability, there were many interruptions in the supply chain.
I was the only full-time DLA employee down here, but I'm not Superman and I can't go 24/7 more than a few days. They began augmenting me.
Set up our distribution center in Kuwait, a commercial operation that we had to establish off the base in Kuwait because Camp Arif John was at capacity.
A transformational effort by DoD, the first one done under a BRAC. What you have is one agency looking at what the material requirements are.
We were prepping, we were watching the news, we were coordinated with DLA. There was an immediacy.
We've gone from being the item manager, encompassed demand planning, supply planning, buying, managing. And they broke it into 3 different jobs.
I was supporting 23,000 troops in Balad Air Base. Things happened very, very rapidly.
The Marine Corps requested 40 critical NSNs to be procured by DLA.
We definitely struggled with air conditioning, and we really struggled with fire suppression parts. We had stuff that was
unstable. And we did create NSNs, and we rushed it to the battlefield very quickly.
We kind of threw the book out, identified those items that needed the NSNs assigned, and worked through a process of rapidly assigning those into the system.
We've established the northern distribution network coming out of the Mediterranean, the Balkans, Russia to the south, coming through Uzbekistan.
We were basically the first team that was going around to individual FOBs, different places, to go pick up the scrap from the scrap piles.
When we heard of the Tomodachi earthquake, we engaged all classes of Class 3 support.